Hello, my name is Serenity Kosarok, and I'm going to be talking today about the ecology of Zophobas morio, also known as Zophobas atratus. So this is the geographical distribution of where they naturally occur. So they are bred all over the world. A lot of third world countries will use them to be bred for food. So they are a great source of protein for people, but they are also bred. They also occur, like I said, naturally. And then they're also bred by people who have pets as really good pet food. This is maybe some more detailed maps. This is of United States where they are occurring naturally, and then also this is a more broad spectrum of to show kind of a better representation of how they exist all over the world. This genus is incredibly diverse. They have like dozens of, or not dozens, more than that. They have tons of different adaptations to be able to handle colder weather better or extreme heat better. So they've done a lot of different things so that they can be so widespread. Their habitat, like I said, they can be kept and bred. They can be put into landfills or large bits of plastic, and they'll eat it up and they'll be able to live that way. When we talk about where they occur naturally, though, they actually are pests in some places. They love to dig into wood. They naturally are actually a really big part of the decomposition process in forests and jungles and other places. So when they get to where there's farmers, they will just be like, oh, this is a great tree, and they'll zoom on in there. Especially larvae. Larvae love to go pupate. So what the larvae will do is they'll burrow into the wood or the tree, because if larvae are around other larvae, they will try to eat each other. Now, if you're a larvae and a larvae tries to eat you, you can fight them off. You can move around and do all this stuff, but pupae are actually really limited in their motility. So what they do is they try to burrow to safety. And the big adult beetles will actually will follow those burrows to try and find the pupate and eat them. Because this species, like I said, exhibits really strong cannibalistic behavior within itself. So that is a little bit about its natural habitat. It has some ecological features that relate to where it likes to live. So, like I said, they're strongly cannibalistic, so they have these burrowing abilities so that they can hide for when they're going to pupate, to try and hide from each other. They have a hard shell to protect them from predators. As we can see here, it looks like they have two sets of wings, but one of them is actually this elytron. It's its hard shell. And then it has its gut microbiome it naturally developed so that it could decompose other dead animals or a lot of dead plant matter. But those chemicals that exist in their stomachs now, those gut bacteria, actually can be used now being applied to the plastic industry, as I mentioned before. So these are some kind of more specific interactions with others. There is larval competition with pupae and bacterial interaction. So like I said before about the cannibalism, they are strategists, so parents tend to have a lot of kids, as many kids as they can, and then very, very little parental involvement afterward. There is an opportunistic pathogen, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, that gets into the right part of their body through open wounds, not food. So you can have a little larvae who's walking around eating, and he can eat this bacteria, and the bacteria will not bother him. But if another cannibalistic larvae tries to eat him and they cause these flesh wounds, that is when Pseudomonas aeruginosa can get in there and start causing disease. So I'm covering the picture a little bit. You can see here, these are the ones, they become kind of flaccid and straight when they're sick. Predator interactions in the wild, they have this hard shell to protect them from natural predators. There's a lot of predators that eat beetles, and that's part of the reason that they make such great pet food. So people who take those predators, and have them as a pet, they also take the beetles and have them as food for their pet, because that's what they would naturally eat. They can be fed, so like I said, that's a predator interactions applied. So they can be fed to people who keep the natural predators as pets, but they're also a great source of protein for people, too. They have this interaction with humans in ecology as a pest. There was a whole document discussing the best way to get rid of them as they bore into human structures. And like I said, the adult beetles bore into the human structures even more. They help with decomposition in the wild. So when we talk about the ecological tree of predators and prey and how they all kind of fall on top of each other and help the whole circle go around, these guys help the dead matter not pile up and not become toxic to the rest of the environment. And then lastly, this decomposition applied, we can talk about that same gut biome being applied to plastic, and management for that is being studied right now. Their conservation status, we are not worried at all right now. They exist all over the world, and they have, like as I said, tons of breeding. So for different purposes. So we have when we could talk about interactions with others, we have our larva competition, predators in the wild, predator interactions applied, humans interactions with as their pests, decomposition in the wild, and then humans using the gut bacteria instead of just the protein that they have. And then here are my sources cited. So, as you can see, there are a lot of ways that Zophobas morio interact within the ecological circle, and they are a very important part of our ecosystem. And we're not worried about them at all. So, thank you so much for listening. That is my report.